Welcome to Judica County. I'm your host, Cassandra Nicholas, and I'm here with attorneys Taylor Scruggs-Smith and Kimberly Lott. We're all attorneys with Whitaker and Hamer, your law firm for life with offices across the state of North Carolina. Today, we want to touch on a family law topic, child support. I don't practice family law, so I'm going to need help from both of you to tell me a little bit more about child support.
So child support in North Carolina is very much statute-based. There are guidelines explicitly listing out, okay, this is the income the parties make, and this is how much you have to pay in child support based off of how many children it is. There are 3 separate calculators that the court system has developed for child support. And those all have to be just filled in. It's a very much a numbers game when it comes to child support. The 3 calculators kind of touch on if one parent has joint primary, but has primary custody, they have more of the time, if the custody is split, or if they have more than one child and custody is split.
So custody needs to be determined first before child support?
9 times out of 10, I would say yes. Sometimes they're determined kind of jointly, and sometimes we have clients that come in who have had the child primarily for the last 6 months, and they're only asking for child support. So it kind of just depends, but most of the time in some situation, custody has been determined either between the parties or through a court system. But a lot of it is like filling in your income.
So regarding income, what counts as income?
The state of North Carolina counts pretty much everything as income. So let's say I'm retired and I have some retirement income, but I have another job on the side. That also counts as income. It can be dividends that you get. It can be from employment. It can be, say you get gifts. Pretty much they open it wide open so that pretty much everything counts as income for the purpose of child custody. The only thing that doesn't count is if you are on Social Security disability, then that does not count as income for the purposes of child support.
I don't know if you would know the reason why, but if that's the one exception, why would that be different from other money coming in?
Because that money, first of all, if you're on disability, it's usually a very low amount of money, and that money is specifically set up to support just you and your living situation. So regardless of if you're married, have children, whatever, it's what the government has determined that you need or are deserving of.
So if they're counting everything, including gifts, you're relying on the other party to accurately report which gifts they're receiving from people?
Sure. And sometimes we have cases where we end up hiring private investigators, forensic accountants, things like that, to really dig into it because we believe that the other person is not being truthful. One of the things that we always put into our separation agreements or even sometimes into court orders is that if it is found out later that somebody has been untruthful about their income, then some penalty will apply to them.
And especially in today's age, a lot of people, the forensic accounting kind of comes in very important because a lot of people are moving money through things like Cash App, Venmo, Apple Pay. And so those aren't regular bank accounts. So you have to have the history to figure out how much money is coming through this Cash App because those are sometimes different cards that aren't attached to the regular bank account like a bank account card. And that's how some people have tried to hide money now in this digital age. So forensic accounting can sometimes come up, especially for things like that.
That's some advanced stuff. Is there anything else that people should know about child support and what goes into it?
Sure. I'll clear up one misconception that a lot of clients come in with. A lot of people think, well, if we have 50-50 custody, then nobody has to pay child support. And that's just not true. The state of North Carolina has determined a calculator for what determines child support. And their philosophy is that the child should have the benefit of both parents' income throughout their lifetime. So if one parent makes significantly more money than another parent, even if they have 50-50 custody, that person who makes significantly more money is going to be paying child support to that other person. The other thing about child support is it can always change. So you might agree to a certain child support number right now, But if your financial circumstances change, whether it's you lose a job or you get a job making a whole lot more money, then child support can always change.
Do you have to seek for it to be changed, or is it re-examined at regular intervals?
So if you're doing it through the court, you typically have to seek for it to be changed. And if you're doing it through a separation or parenting agreement, it just has to be done with the same formalities that you did the separation agreement or the parenting agreement with. So if you're doing it through the court, one of the big things is just change circumstances and showing how this has changed. So now I either need less child support to pay or I need more. But you have to prove that there's been a circumstance that's actually changed.
And one other aspect of that, if it goes through the court, you can go through the court and just have a judge sign something that is an order, or you can actually apply through the county that you live in or that the children primarily live in, and the court system, it's called child support enforcement, they will help you seek child support from somebody who's supposed to be paying you child support. And their rules are they automatically do a reevaluation every 3 years, and otherwise it's whether there's been a change in circumstances.
So that's if you've sought enforcement through that agency.
Exactly.
That then you become involved with them and they re-examine regularly.
Right. So that doesn't happen generally if you just did child support and a judge signed off. A judge typically is not going back every 3 years to look at it. So the enforcement agency is the main party that will go back and look at that on a regular basis.
Is it that agency that creates things like garnishments, or what are their mechanisms for enforcement?
Right, and they do that, and they're the only ones who can do that. If you come to us and we go through a judge, we don't have the power to garnish anybody's wages. We don't have the power to intercept taxes. But the child support enforcement people in each county, they do have that kind of power. So if someone falls behind in their child support that is ordered through the county, then the county can intercept their taxes, they can garnish their wages, they can even take the other person's driver's license until they come current, and they can also put them in jail if they are not current on their child support.
And that's one big thing. You can be put in jail for not paying your child support. That can be done whether you did it through enforcement, child support enforcement agency, or if you're going through us, because that's essentially a contempt filing for not paying. And you have one chance to try to prove why you're not paying and why it's acceptable. But if not, you could end up in contempt.
Would at that point a changed circumstance be a potential justifiable reason for having fallen behind?
It can be. However, if you have a change in circumstances, you need to file with the court immediately. So if you had a change in circumstances, you lost your job, you have a much lower income, and you didn't ask for a modification, then the court is still going to hold you to that standard that they had ordered, and you are required to pay that. The only exception to that is if you don't have the ability to pay, the court does have to make a finding that you had the ability to pay before they punish you for not paying.
This is really important information. Those nuances can really affect people ordered to pay child support. This was incredibly helpful. Thank you both. We thank you for joining us on this episode of Judica County. If you find yourself in need of legal assistance with child support or any area of law, please give us a call at 919-772-7000 or contact us on our website at wh.lawyer. We're Whitaker and Hamer, your law firm for life.